Going on, everybody? I hope you're all doing well. I'm not really expecting, um, a whole lot of people to join. I do want to cover some stuff, go through a couple of things, and I guess I'm going to start it off with uh, with the wildfire thing that's going on because we're going to see a lot more of it, and I want to keep tabs on it. I want to kind of document it as it happens, especially when you got the leader of the free world or supposed leader of the free world openly admitting essentially that's exactly what he's doing about directed energy weapons. And we seen what happened in Maui, which was rather strange, right? There was a lot of things that didn't burn when everything around it was completely incinerated and powderized into an ash. There were certain things that were untouched, and those things were blue. The United Nations had this thing about blue, and FEMA had this thing about blue roofs. There's some suspect stuff going on with that, and there's also an interesting thing that if I have time, I'll get to as well about this, which I haven't had time to really fact check it or check it out myself. But there was this guy in Texas who, after the Maui fires, painted his roof blue, and during these latest fires in Texas, all of his neighbors' houses were destroyed, but lo and behold, his was left standing. Um, I guess we'll just start it off with the speech. I think it's pretty telling. Let me turn the chat on. What's up, Cindy? Good to see you.
That are scorching Texas Panhandle and northwest Oklahoma. Yesterday, one of the biggest fire events in Texas history, with more than 1 million acres of Texas land burned. From the start, I directed my team to do everything possible to help protect the people in the communities threatened by these fires. In response to specific requests made from the state, we already have more than 500 federal personnel here working on fire suppression. That includes the deployment of 100 federal firefighters and more on the way, as well as dozens of additional fire engines, air tankers, small planes, helicopters to help fight the flames.
They do a good job telling him what to do, right? It makes it look like he's talking to the whole audience. They got two teleprompters on the left and the right side, and all he has to do is switch from one to the other. And it makes it look like he's talking to the audience, but he can't even get that right. He's such a ridiculous puppet. What a shitty ass puppet.
And FEMA has already guaranteed that Texas and Oklahoma will be reimbursed for the cost of keeping folks safe. And we're grateful for the brave first responders risking their lives to save others. And we urge folks to listen to the warnings from the local officials, listen to them. I've flown over a lot of these wildfires since I've been president. Matter of fact, I've been a helicopter in the west and the southwest and northwest, flown over more land burned to the ground, all the vegetation gone, than this entire state of Maryland in square footage.
Wait.
The idea there's no such...
What did he just say? Before we get to the part that I want to hear, he said, I have done this more than the whole... I want to hear it again.
Thing is climate change. I've flown over a lot of these wildfires since I've been president. Matter of fact, I've been a helicopter in the west and the southwest and north.
I've been a helicopter in the west, the southwest, and all the wests, apparently.
West, flown over more land burned to the ground.
He's flown over more land burnt to the ground.
All the vegetation gone than this entire state of Maryland in square footage.
Okay.
The idea there's no such thing as climate change. I love that, man. I love some of my Neanderthal friends who still think there's no climate change. Well, my administration is going to keep building on the progress we've made fighting climate crisis, and we're going to keep helping.
We're going to keep zapping you with direct energy weapons. Is what he's ultimately saying. They don't plan on letting up. They need people into the mega cities, and they're going to destroy all of the places that they need to send a couple of messages. One, climate change is real, right? Your city, your town, your urban area, suburb, wherever you are, it can be vaporized. in a matter of moments. And the second is the age-old battle of carbon emissions and carbon tap, right? That like ever since I think even long before me, even in the 70s, they were really starting to push this thing. But it's part of the New World Order agenda, of course, and that's telling everybody that we create too much carbon, and in order to solve that, well, look what they said about the cows. Cows fart too much. We need to get rid of the cows. So there was an article recently about people's breath, their breathing is a contributing factor to climate change. What do you suppose they're getting at with that? And we all know. We all know. And even people that sit there and pretend that they don't, I find it hard to believe that that's the case. I think deep down inside that they're just as aware, just frightened, scared, and ignorant, or intentionally ignorant to what's really happening.
Folks rebuild themselves in the wake of these disasters, and we rebuild to the standards that are the up-to-date standards and building codes and the rest. Because if you fly over these areas that are burned to the ground, you'll see in the midst of...
We are the carbon, we are the virus, we are the problems that they will continue to lay out, right? The United Nations, World Economic Forum, the Council of Foreign Relations, all of the issues that they... What's up, New Edge? What's up, Cuts? Good to see you guys. All of the things that they continually lay out. When you break it down, you find the common denominator. There's one thing that is consistent among all of them, and it's us, the people, right? They're telling us that the people themselves are the problem. And overall, when it comes down to it eventually, and they keep failing, they're going, and they're starting to, with articles like I just mentioned, saying, people breathing is contributing to the global warming issue. They're inching their way towards the idea that, hey, we need to start eliminating people. And I know that, as crazy as that sounds and outlandish, and no, they would get instant backlash. There's already people that support that type of thing, that would back that.
20 homes that are just totally destroyed. One home sitting there because it had the right roof on it.
Wait, what, Biden? What was that?
Anyway, since I took these areas that are burned to the ground, you'll see in the midst of 20 homes that are just totally destroyed, one home sitting there because it had the right roof on it.
Now we've seen that exact same thing in Maui. There was exactly what he was talking about. All these homes burnt down, and there was one home standing there with a blue roof. And just as I just mentioned a moment ago, the same thing happened to Texas. This man in Texas painted his home blue. Now, I don't know, he's talking about Texas right now. Whether he's talking about Maui or Texas, I don't know. But he said everything was incinerated around him except one home that happened to have the right roof on it. And then he realized he said too much, because every time this piece of shit realizes he said too much, he instantly follows it with anyway.
And anyway, since I took office, FEMA's provided Texas alone over $13 billion. $13 billion in 3 years of disaster relief.
Let's move on. Kind of.
Beams of green light flashing above Mauna Kea are likely from a Chinese satellite. Now, these are shots from the Subaru telescope.
I don't need to play much of this. We all remember this one, right? All these weird things that were happening right before the Maui wildfires, these green lasers that were being shown.
Last month, the scientists there originally thought they were from a NASA satellite making a 3D map of the Earth. But then
What about this?
It's a plane flying low over people's homes, scanning the ground with that green laser. Welcome back. I'm Chris Safadi.
And I'm Lois Tomey. So what is it doing? A Wake News anchor Annette Montgomery joins us in the studio. And Annette, what did you learn?
Well, Chris and Lois, I learned who it's not after reaching out to everyone from the city of Cape Coral to the county to the Florida Division of Emergency Management to the...
So this is in Florida. This isn't in Texas, but these things are happening all over the place. Now, I don't automatically associate this with the wildfire thing, although I don't discount it either. This to me is more significant on the aspect of war, like a world war or martial law or things of that nature. And the reason I say that is because what it looks like to me that they're doing is topography scans. And they're getting a layout of the land, which is a common tactic before, any major battle, before they go into a new zone or anything. And they've been doing this forever. And it's usually done for that reason, to get them to know where the elevation is, because elevation gives you an advantage. So they do a more, because not that they don't have topography maps, right? That they exist, and but things change over time, and you want an up to the date, especially if you're the military. You want up to the moment update as to where things are, where things sit, and where would be a good place to position yourselves. That's one theory. Another theory is wildfires. Well, we'll see. We'll connect the dots. I don't know, but it's something worthy of paying attention to, right? The fact that there's green lasers being shot from the sky all over the place is definitely worthy of attention, and it's only a matter of time before a pattern starts to emerge and we're able to connect the dots. But as far as I'm concerned right now, there's no such dots to connect, and it's a guessing game. I don't like to pretend I know something if I don't.
To the South Florida Water District and Port Authority. Now, these low-flying planes with green lasers does not belong to them. One neighbor got so fed up, she purchased a flight radar to help narrow down the search for the owner. It's not something you see every day.
Oh, geez, it was, it went back and forth. At least, I would say 40 minutes to an hour.
But for people living in Cape Coral, they've been seeing it a lot this week.
It was really late at night. It was kind of around midnight. It was around midnight. And I was actually in my car. I was just getting home, and I saw it going back and forth with a laser beam. It scanned over me multiple times, and it was just moving. It was scanning the whole area, every square footage, basically. Going just forth.
That low-flying plane was in Casey Sutton's neighborhood for hours Sunday night. Philip Bertolio saw it the same day, but a few hours earlier while watching the Super Bowl game.
When it came by, you could see the green laser light spread out, like it was mapping. We heard somebody was mapping the area, is what we were told. And it kept going in and out, north and south, direct.
And why would they need to map the area when they already have the areas mapped, right? It's clearly that they need up-to-date information, but why? Why is it so pertinent that they get a high detailed mapping of the territory when there's so much data that already exists that's relatively close? The only time that you need that type of precision is in military tactics. That's why I stray more towards there's something coming.
Direction, and it would just go farther to the west. It kept going north and south and coming.
It's the first time these neighbors saw a sight like this while looking up.
And I'll talk a little bit more about not the lasers, but about what I think is coming here in a moment when we get to it. But I think all this really ties into one thing in particular. Now, Chile, right? This is pretty interesting. It's the same old, with these direct energy weapons that we've been seeing for a couple of years now. Interesting fires breaking out of nowhere that clearly shouldn't even happen. It starts off, and then there's only a little bit of footage that I want to show, and that's this palm tree right here. And I think it, well, a picture's worth 1,000 words.
Well, here we go again.
I'm gonna play it over real quick, because why on earth was this thing burning?
Well, here we go again.
So yeah. Now Chile was, there was, Matt, just like everywhere else that gets hit with these weapons. Yeah, thanks, Jen. Hit the like button if you guys haven't already. It does help, not much when you're dealing with a channel like this. And honestly, guys, I'm kind of giving up on this channel. I'm working towards something else. I'm trying to figure out exactly what it is that's going to be. I'm tossing around ideas, trying to figure out the best way forward, and I don't know yet. But I'm not gonna be making videos like I was on this channel because it doesn't do any good. Like, yes, not to say that, you guys aren't, and that alone, gives me a reason to do these videos, but that's not the point of my channel, of any of my channels. You guys already know, you're well aware, you know perfectly well what's happening. It's preaching to the choir at this point. If I can get, one more person, two more people, that's the point. And I think I understand a lot more now than I did even creating this channel, which I understood pretty much quite well of how everything was manipulated and how they, shadow ban everything. But I still went in with the same type of attitude, with the same type of, how do I word it? I went into it kind of the way I always do. This is what I want to cover. This is how I'm going to do it. And everybody else be damned that want to control the information. Well, that's the problem, because they do control the information. That they're able to shut you down. But there are, at least I think, ways around this. I think there's ways where you can play ball, so to speak. Follow the guidelines. Be a good little boy or girl. But at the same time, trick the algorithms. They may think sarcasm, for instance, is just one example. Not a great one, but it's an example. Their AI that's designed to pick up on those types of things, not sarcasm, but the information, right? The information you're presenting, the keywords, so they can shut you down. You can use satire. You can use argument. You can use different things that people that are actual people will understand what you mean sarcastically, right? Like, you could say something sarcastically, and the AI won't. It doesn't understand sarcasm, but you would, or a person might. Now, again, that's just one minor example. There's many more that could be utilized, and there could be a balance and at least a period of growth before, you start really hammering down on some of the topics. But it's kind of a lost cause. This channel's already been defeated. I think they're only allowing it to remain up because they should have taken it down. I've made numerous videos that should have gotten strikes, and back in the day when my channel was growing, not this channel, but previous channels, when they were still growing, if you said something, they would strike you down immediately. You know, I was getting strikes all the time. I'd have to wait a week and then blah, 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 you know the deal. But now that I can't grow, I'll say the most outlandish thing, not outlandish, it's absolutely true, but as far as they're concerned, things that would automatically get you a strike. And they don't. And the only reason I see for that is that they want to know what it is that is being discussed on channels such as this. Because if they eliminate this, well, clearly I can't speak anymore. And then they lose that source of information and data, along with many others that I'm sure they're doing the same thing with. All right, moving on past the wildfire thing. I just think that's good because we're moving into summer, right? Summer will be here. We're going to fly past spring. And then towards the end of spring, guys, you haven't seen anything like what's coming. It is all-out war with what they're going to be doing with these wildfires and climate change. They need to get them. We're heading into 2025, and 2025 is the year where it's all downhill. Genocides begin in 2025. April of 2024 also it's a very important marking period. I don't think I really want to get into that yet, though, so I figured I just said that. U.S. conspiracy theorists monetize disease X misinformation. Well, maybe it's because we have a bunch of globalist billionaires that continually tell us that this next disease that's coming is going to kill so many people. How do you know that, right? Like, well, we know why. We know why they're saying it, because they intend on doing it. Coined by the World Health Organization to denote a hypothetical future pandemic, Disease X is at the center of a blizzard of misinformation that American conspiracy theorists are amplifying and profiting from. The falsehood, always the falsehoods, right? Or without basis, it's just bullshit. Anytime you see those types of words, I should instantly let you know what you're dealing with. Propaganda. The falsehoods, including that the unknown pathogen indicates an elitist plot to depopulate the earth, appeared to originate in the United States but spilled to Asia in multiple regional languages. The fast-spreading misinformation, which experts say illustrates the perils of reduced content moderation. Let me read that again. The fast-spreading misinformation, which experts say illustrates the perils of reduced content moderation on social media sites, threatens to fuel vaccine hesitancy and jeopardize preparation for public health emergencies 4 years after the outbreak of COVID-19. What they're ultimately saying is, because people still have their right to freely speak and share information that they see as important, you are the cause. The people are the reason that there will be this disease X. Because of this misinformation that is running rampant, apparently, they're unable to do what it is that they want to do. What is it that they want to do? And why is free speech standing in their way? Right? Like, facts are facts. If you have all the facts in then just show them. Be like, this is what it is. This is a clear-cut graph that shows this level of misinformation coming out of society has directly correlated to this amount of disease spread. They can't, and they will never be able to do that because it's bullshit. It's all bullshit. There is no correlation. There never will be. It's just a tactic to strip you of your rights. And the pandemic treaty is coming up to be voted on. And if the World Health Organization gets its way and the United States under Joe Biden, which is such a funny thing to think about, like he's really running the show. But anyway, under the puppet Joe Biden, which of being a puppet, he's going to do exactly what he's supposed to, and he will sign on to the World Health Organization's pandemic treaty. This is dire. This is of the utmost importance. We absolutely cannot allow this to happen, because if that happens, hang it up, because you won't have a chance. You'll have the blue helmets coming in from all other countries, and I don't care how many guns people have in their homes. It won't do any good when you got militaries from 17 different nations wearing blue helmets coming in and going house to house. And that's exactly what will happen if we allow something like this to happen, because the World Health Organization is the United Nations. It's all a global network that they've been working on creating and building for 75, 80 years now. And they feel comfortable enough with its power that they're willing to move ahead with things like this, right? Like, oh, let's just have the United States sign on and all these other countries sign on. But Biden already said he would. That's incredibly dangerous for this country, for our sovereignty, for freedom, and what it means to be. Like, if we lose that battle, that's a major, major, major loss. So we can't. And that's why I need to not be stuck in the corner, guys, because one way or the other, I have to reach people. And they're doing everything they can to make sure. I've never seen it. And I'm not trying to be like egocentric and, I'm fair and honest. And I have not seen the level of censorship on any other channel that they do to mine. Like it is so over the top. It's like almost every single live stream, there's hoops and hurdles and all this different shit that I have to go through in order to even present a tiny amount of information. And there's got to be a way to break through that. And a lot of that, not this channel, I know you guys do a lot, but it depends on you and your reach and what you're able to do to get it out there. So this channel's gone. Don't even worry about it. You don't have to share it. You don't have to do anything. But the next thing that I do, and if you're still with me when I do it, I need you. Like there's no way I'm going to be able to do it on my own. And I don't need a lot, right? I don't need thousands of people to start off. I just need a few clever people that understand how this system works. And I think we can make quite a bit of progress. And I agree, Jen. I know that's the case. Stoking fears about disease X, right-wing influencers in the United States are also cashing in on the falsehoods by hawking medical kits which contain what health experts call an unproven COVID-19 treatment. Misinformation mongers are trying to exploit this conspiracy theory to sell products, Timothy Caulfield from the University of Alberta in Canada told AFP. This is often their primary mode of income. The conflict is, that's what Alex Jones does. Right? He sells his supplements and all that jazz. And I get people need to get paid, but do you trust Alex Jones enough to buy supplements off of him? Just like the Y-Files started selling shoes. The Y-Files, although I love watching the show, I think the guy works for the CIA. And the reason I think that is because the way the CIA and these intelligence agencies operate is they feed you, just like Tucker Carlson, Alex Jones, right? They feed you so much truth that you give your trust over. And then once you have given them your trust, then it is not up to you any longer. You have given that ability of discernment away, and you have opened yourself to be fed. You have let your guard down, essentially. You have opened yourself to be fed information that you have decided this person is trustworthy. He has given me truth after truth after truth. So when they slide in the lie, when they slide in something that isn't true, or they discredit something that is, you, with your guard down, you are so much more apt to accept that information when you normally would never have, right? If that was coming from CNN, you would have been like, yeah, right. But coming from, like, he's a newly awakened person that just is starting to understand everything because COVID slapped him in the face pretty hard. And they're like, shit, this is all fake. These people don't have my interest. Oh my God, the government, like, when they start realizing it all, they have a couple of options, right? They can retreat into their shell like a turtle and not pay any attention to anything and just be scared to death, which people do. Or they start being like you and I, or at least trying to. And that's what gatekeepers like Tucker Carlson and Alex Jones and Russell Brand and all the rest are for. It's for when the people start waking up, right? Instead of going to channels like this that they bury and censor, they make sure that they amplify ones like Alex Jones and Tucker Carlson, even though they're so scary, right? They could shut them down if they want to, but no, they don't. They promote them. And other ones too. I've seen these channels come out of nowhere. And overnight, I reported on one like a year ago. I don't know if you guys remember. I wanted to see it from his first video, had hundreds of thousands of views. And it was the same type of thing. It was like a truther, but even in his first video, said a bunch of truth, but then slid in some BS. That's the game. And you can't trust any of it, of course, right? Anybody that's being promoted on a platform that is the enemy's platform, you have to understand that it's for a reason. And that's one of the options that they have is like, now they're going to go looking, right? Now that the people, they could either hide and be scared to death of everything, or they can go looking for answers. And when they go looking for answers, they don't want you to come by channels like mine. They'd rather you stumble across the one that's being slammed on your gullet, like Tucker Carlson or Alex Jones or Russell Brand or the many, many, many others that are out there doing that. Because they'll provide you with just enough of the truth, but they will still slant it. They will still slide in a narrative that ultimately helps them in the divide and conquer aspect and giving you mistruths and amongst a plethora of other things. I'm going to keep it moving. Oh, this is interesting. So this bank term funding program is ending. And the reason that I've taken note on this is because I think this is important due to the fact that they need a collapse. They need an economic collapse because they have to bring in the central bank digital currency. And in order to do that, they have to erode trust in our current currency. They have to create, which they always do, right? 2007, 2006, 1928, Yeah, there's been so many collapses that were manufactured. Just about every one, right? When you give control of the currency of the whole entire economic system over to a bunch of dirty Jews, and I mean dirty Jews, and I don't mean real Jews. I mean dirty Jews that are not Jews pretending to be Jews. Otherwise, they'd just be Jews. But dirty Jews are not Jews. You get it? I'm sure you do. They can collapse it at any time they want. And they've been in control. That was the first thing that they did, right? Was taking over the central banks of every country, or starting a central bank in every country, I should say. And then, could you imagine the audacity? Like, think about that, right? Well, I mean, countries don't even own their own currency. How ridiculous of a notion is that? Do you know how much better off we would be if we didn't have a central bank and America itself was in control of its own currency? If the Department of Treasury actually was the Department of Treasury? On January 24, 2024, the Federal Reserve Board delivered a significant announcement that sent ripples across the financial landscape. The Bank Term Funding Program, the BTFP, would cease making new loans as scheduled on March 11, 2024. The BFTP, or BTFP, I'm sorry, which was established to bolster American businesses, 100%, absolutely new edge, absolutely. And we'll talk about taxes here in a minute, because don't get me started on that shit, and I tell you what. The BTFP, which was established to bolster American businesses and households by providing additional funding to eligible depository institutions, has been a crucial lifeline for banks in meeting the diverse needs of their depositors. Basically meaning that without this program, banks would have gone under. You remember when that shit was going down and there was about to be a domino effect of all these banks that should have collapsed but didn't, because the central banks were holding them up by design, of course, waiting for the perfect moment. So it's interesting that they chose March 11th to let this come crashing down, because what's going to happen a month later? I guess we'll wait and see. You should bookmark that. Has been a crucial lifeline for banks in meeting the diverse needs of their depositors. However, with its imminent closure, concerns loom over the potential strain this could place on banks, businesses, and individuals, posing a threat to the overall economy. March 2023, the financial sector was shaken by an unexpected bank failure affected Signature Bank, Silicon Valley Bank, and the rapid rise in interest rates triggered by inflationary pressures caused usually secure investments in U.S. Treasury securities to lose value, prompting both banks to sell bonds at a loss to meet customer withdrawal demands. And as panic spread, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation and the Federal Reserve intervened. The Federal Reserve intervened to stabilize the situation. However, the FDIC's $250,000 insurance limit per customer per institution left many account holders at the failed banks with significant losses. To address the liquidity crisis, the Federal Reserve established the Bank Term Funding Program, offering cash advances to eligible borrowers secured by specified securities, including those available in open market operations such as you. So what's going to happen? Well, my prediction would be your major corporations aren't going to be affected. This to me seems like another move to wipe out the middle class. People that have small chains, maybe a mom and pop shop that has 5, 6, 7 stores that just makes over, maybe a $2 million profit. They're going to be losing their asses. And that will have a trickle down effect, because that will cause a lot more unemployment, and that will cause people to not be able to buy from those larger corporations, and that will take us towards the end of March into the beginning of April. And then right when things are ready to come crashing down, but not, right there, it's like a Jenga stack, all floating on the very bottom has one piece. You guys understand what I'm saying? It's this massive thing built like a card house that's built on these tiny little pieces, on these two little cards holding everything up. That's what they're going to get it to. And then what will happen in April? If something big happens in April that sends any type of insecurity or some type of instability, that will be all that is necessary to wipe the entire market out. That will be all that is necessary to allow the crashing of the entire market. It will be disastrous, to say the least. I hope I'm wrong, but that's what it looks like to me. We'll see. This is a big deal. It's a massive deal. National Guard, state troopers, National Guard, MTA police, National Guard deployed in New York City subways.
Are not a war zone. That assessment tonight from a top NYPD official who is hip deep in the wave of a new campaign to flood the subways with law enforcement, state and city. New York Governor Hochul ordering hundreds of National Guard members, MTA police, and state police officers to the subways after a series of recent high-profile crimes. Today, they carried out more bag searches. Eyewitness News reporter N.J. Burkett live at Penn Station tonight with how it's...
Guys, you have a Fourth Amendment. You have your freedoms. What they're doing right here, going through your bag so you can ride public transportation, is a violation of your Fourth Amendment right. And nobody should be okay with this. Nobody. That's not even a fraction of it. The fact that Kathy Hochul and her demonic buddies are bringing in the National Guard. And that's not it. Remember the school? I'm sure you guys have heard about the school that has, like, there's fights breaking out and there's drugs being sold. So they want to bring in the National Guard. This is going to be something that I'm sure we will see more of in the near future. And what are they making their way towards? Well, that same thing I was talking about maybe in April. Some type of significant event. When you already have National Guard deployed in your states and something goes down, it will be all of that much easier to declare some type of martial law. Whether it's declared as such or not is irrelevant. What the actions are is everything, right? What is ultimately happening? And this, we need to resist at all measure. We do not allow these scumbags to search your belongings if you're not If you haven't committed a crime, if you're just living your life, do not subject this papers, please, right? This is what this country was founded to prevent. This is the way our whole Constitution is structured. And to see it just haphazardly go out the window because, a crime that you allow to happen, it's problem, reaction, solution, right? It's Hegelian dialectic 101. They're causing this problem. They're allowing it to happen so that they could then bring in the solution. And do not. What are they going to tell you? You can't ride the public transit system because you didn't get your bag searched? Sue them. Take this to court. They need to be sued. This is a violation, and it goes to get a constitutional lawyer, get this resolved, and solve this problem. This should not be a thing that we have to deal with in a country where we're told we are free, which is clearly a joke at this point. But I still will fight for it till the day I die, with my life on the line.
The subways are not a war zone. That assessment tonight.
Oh. New York Governor Kathy Hochul has ordered hundreds of National Guard members and MTA police, state police, to the subway system after a series of recent high-profile crimes. What do you mean high-profile crimes? Like crimes that are always happening on subways all the time? Because you got, there's ways to prevent this without infringing on our rights. Like, do your job, right? Instead of cracking down and going after the common man or woman, go just take a ride in the subway. Why don't you put a couple people, random people, not plain clothes, right? I mean, in plain clothes. That way, just like they do in the airport, that way you never know if your train car has an officer, right? People might be a little bit more apprehensive to commit crimes if they think that one of these plainclothes citizens sitting on them actually might be a member of the FBI or a member of the state police or a member of whatever. But instead, you want to violate people's rights before they even get on the subway. You want to violate their Fourth Amendment. Exactly, Jen. Produce a search warrant and get the fuck out. Now that's public, right? Those are your tax dollars pay for that. They can't refuse you because you didn't allow them access to your bag. Although I'm sure that they do. It's lucky I don't live in New York City because I'd be locked up in a heartbeat. Trump said he plans to declare martial law. Here's what that would look like. Now, guys, I don't put it past them. I think that's kind of what's being... You see what's happening, right? You see all of these so-called Democrat-run cities. Keep in mind, there is no difference between the left and the right. They are all the same, right? When it comes to politics, they all talk a good game. You got the right, we believe in freedom and we believe in... It's bullshit. It's bullshit. And all it is designed to do is keep us pitted against each other so we don't realize the type of tyranny that's being imposed on us. But we got the left, supposedly, creating all of the scenarios necessary to let crime run rampant in the cities. And then you have, which people are buying into it, right? You have the right that rightfully so sees it and wants it to stop. So when they get Trump back in office, what do you think will happen? Trump is going to say, and he's going to make a great speech, And there's going to be a ton of people, because that's what they've been doing for these last couple of months, maybe about a year now, right? They've been doing everything they can to get people behind Trump. And they've been doing that by making it look like they're attacking Trump and trying to punish Trump and trying to lock Trump up. And all that's doing is, of course, making his follower base increase exponentially. Right? It's giving justification to the things that he was saying, which were designed to be said because they knew that this was going to be what was ultimately happening. So they're going to have all of this crime, and then Trump's going to get up there once he's selected and being like, oh, guys, we're going to stop this. And with cheers from the crowd of their own chain and shackles, they will greatly go along with it. They will beg for it. Yes, do it. Let's stomp out this crime. And then all of a sudden, these executive orders are going to come into play. And sounds good at first. Sounds great, all of these things that, yeah, we need to stomp out. Right, yeah, let's get rid of it. Until it starts coming home to roost. And it will. I promise you it will. (2024's solar eclipse). There was a 7-year period in between the first one and this one. And that was the indication. These were signs from the skies and the heavens above that let us know that we are about to go into the next 7 years of tribulation. And that means from the year 2024 to the year 2031 will be 7 years of tribulation. And it's going to kick off nicely. You'll see. But I'll save all this for a later date. I like this. This will be the last one that I'm going to wrap it up. But before I wrap it up, I'll talk to you guys, see if there's any questions or whatever, anything you guys want to talk about. Death threats and disinformation. What it's like being viciously targeted by conspiracy theory activists. Basically, what they're saying is, anybody that thinks for themselves and is making a voice, making their voice heard, that's what they mean. Oh, I can't read it. Of course, they put a paywall up. It's funny how they do that, right? I had complete access up until I went live. Yeah, absolutely, New Ed. So am I. So am I. I'm not looking forward to the darkness of it. There's going to be some very, very sad times. There's going to be a lot of unnecessary carnage. But it's also, unfortunately, necessary for the awakening, the true awakening. And that also can be co-opted. Like, people need to really stay on point. That's why and listen, man, I didn't ask for this role. I just need to get out there. I need to address people, and a lot of them at that, because I can tell them exactly what's coming, how to prepare, and how to avoid it, how to make the most out of the situation. There are so many things, but sitting over here in the closet, nothing will happen. Nothing will change. I'm aware how that sounds, but I can change. I can change it. with the help of you guys. But we're going to have to change it up a little bit. Clearly, it won't be this channel. But it's coming soon. On that note, I'm going to wrap it up, guys. Before I go, though, I'd like to hear from you guys what you guys are thinking, what you want to talk about, or a question, anything. And then I'll get going. And I apologize that I haven't really been active. I'm not going to be on here. You know, maybe a couple of weeks, if that, because I'm in a strange, what's the word? I can't think of it. It's when you're in between things and you're not quite anywhere. It's one of my favorites. I know you get it, Jen. Melissa gets it. There's a couple of you guys that understand. I know Cuts, New Wedge, Squirrel. All right, if you guys don't got anything, I'm gonna get wrapping it up. But I appreciate you being here, and it'll probably be Wednesday. I'll be making another live stream, so hopefully you guys can join me. If you get a little bit of a heads up, maybe you'll know about it. It'll probably be around 7 o'clock Eastern time. So 6, 7, 8, you know, just look out, and then we'll go from there. But I definitely appreciate you guys. I love you all, of course, and I can't wait for this next chapter. As much as, like, that's a weird thing to say, but I can't wait for this next chapter to begin, and we're not far from it. So hope you all have a good night, good day tomorrow. Enjoy what you can, right? Make the most of it. It's gonna be what it is. Concentrate on the little things. Will do, Jen. Will do. All right, guys. God bless. Much love. Peace.